What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we have some serious topics that we are going to discuss, from the election to Black women being fed up to other things that are socially challenging, and the race wars that are in America. But before we get started, and without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring out my producer, Mark Lee, so we can go ahead and get this show on the road. How are you?
I'm doing good. Had the pleasure yesterday of hanging out with my Aunt Julie, and my mom was there as well because Aunt Julie turned 80 last week, so she was having an 80th birthday party at a restaurant that is kind of southern oriented and all along those lines. But it was a nice turnout. A lot of people came there to honor her on her 80th birthday, including her grand. Now she's got a couple of grandkids as well as some now a great grandkid or two. So definitely there were folks there honoring her, and it was fun seeing some of my cousins. And yeah, the election did come up at least some, as well as sports and other things also. But it was just good to get that chance to spend time with Aunt Julie and to celebrate her 80th birthday and all along those lines. So we had a good old time. And then on Friday, Reverend Barber was here trying to dissect some of what was going on, and was even talking about how the Democrats missed the boat by kind of like letting certain states be written off and not even trying to campaign in those states or campaigning in the rural areas. And he also thought that Democrats did not do a good job of addressing the whole issue around poverty and all along those lines. So he had some interesting perspective as well. But yeah, that was here at the Haytat Center where I'm at today, and everything that he was here on Friday. So it's been a good week. And then we had a ballet premiere on yesterday as well. So like I said, it's been a good week and a lot of good and powerful things going on here in the center and just in life in general, even though a lot of people are still upset over that election, myself included.
Well, I mean, not to take away from Reverend Barber's points, but the sheer and clear message behind the election was racism, and that's just all it is to it. Black women have supported and carried the Democratic Party for I don't know how long, for years and years and years, and basically we're fed up. And the white women did what white women do. They voted against, their own best interest, and they basically helped damn us all. It wasn't necessarily about poverty and things like that or whatever, because the people that are, and I'm not trying to sound malicious and hateful and things like that, the people who are in poverty has always been in poverty and things like that, and they don't even understand how the elections takes place, and the roles and the responsibilities of different people, and things of that nature. We can just go back to the stimulus checks. The Democrats were responsible for each and every one of the persons that received the stimulus check to receive the checks. Donald Trump wanted to put his name on it as if he approved it with the Republicans, but he did not. It was Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were instrumental in the people getting that money from the Democrats in terms of a stimulus. The first stimulus that people received, which I don't receive stimulus because I make too much money or whatever, was actually a loan. And people got to understand that the money that they received the first time around, the Republicans still did not want to give them that money. They loaned them that money. So when they filed their income taxes were significantly lower because they had to take that money and pay it back in form of the stimulus and things like that. But they're so hard pressed that Donald Trump and the Republicans, gave them the stimulus check and gave them the money. And I'm like, that's not true. That's inaccurate. They did not, support the stimulus check for the American people and things like that. And even when the whole debacle of, COVID-19 and, how they botched that up and things like that. And he calling it, the Chinese disease and, things of that nature. President Obama had given him a handbook of how to handle a pandemic. He did not utilize anything from President Obama or, the previous, presidency and things like that or whatever. So people can say what they want about the election, but it was just clear and sheer racism that that sparked, a lot of things with the white people and stuff like that or whatever. It's no other way to even address it. I was looking and I posted something last night, and other commentators are saying the same thing. It was sheer racism. It wasn't about anything else. This lady had less than 100 days to get a campaign together and run a successful campaign. Donald Trump had 4 years. You know what I'm saying? So they were trying to hold her to a perfect standard, like they do all Black women in different positions of power, in different, areas of professionalism and things like that. They hold us to a different standard than they do anybody else. White women, white men, and other people can be mediocre and they can put up, do mediocrity and things like that. But Black women has to show that she's a super girl, that she's a superwoman, that she's capable of doing all of this. We have to be perfect. We cannot have any faults and things like that. And they were looking at the woman and they were looking at her saying that, oh, she needed to do this, she couldn't do that. But yet and still, Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Let's just call a spade a spade. Let's just look at the facts. He's a convicted felon. He cheated people. He talked about, President Biden with his speech impediment and things like that or whatever. And even in the first debate, Biden had this crazy look on his face. It wasn't because he has dementia or anything, but you have to understand Biden has a speech impediment. And that is something that, if you're not familiar with people who have speech impediments and things like that, and people who have disabilities, you wouldn't know that how they respond. And when he was in the first debate and he came back with random words or whatever, because his brain was processing, he stuttered as a child. So he was concentrating on his speech and things like that, whatever. Hell, when I get upset, I stutter. You know what I'm saying? A little bit. But, that just goes to show you how insensitive people are. Donald Trump could do no wrong, but everybody else had to be perfect within their own rights and things like that. Donald Trump got children by 5 different women. He cheated on his wife, Melania. He cheated on all his women. He's been trying to cheat the government. Every time people try to hold him accountable, nobody is able to hold him accountable because the white people, and we're just going to say it plain and clear, the white people, which are white men who are letting him scapegoat, because had President Obama done any of this, they would have been trying to throw the book at President Obama. So he's another one that had to be damn near perfect. So it wasn't about not connecting with the people. It wasn't about not doing this and not doing that. It was about protecting that white supremacy and that of white supremacy that they're used to, because they don't want that structure of white supremacy to be dismissed. And even the dang on Amish people, and I was supposed to send this to you, but I didn't get a chance to. The Amish people, they showed up, about 80,000 of them. Y'all never participate in a dang on government election, but now all of a sudden y'all participating in a government election. You know what I'm saying? Y'all live off the grid and y'all so-called claim that y'all don't want to deal with modern medicine, modernism and this, that, and the other. But y'all were in droves going out there, and y'all horses and carriages and buggies and things like that going to the election polls and being registered to vote and things like that with Donald Trump. And so one of the videos that I posted on Facebook as of yesterday and the day before is of the Amish people going to the polls and showing their support for Donald Trump. And in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, those Amish people have two Amish markets here in the state of Maryland, in one of the richest Black counties there is, which is Prince George's County. So I'm on a mission to get their asses shut down and to get their asses boycotted, because you have shown us that you're not for the people. You're for white people. You're not for all people, but you want Black people money and you want us to support your businesses, but you don't want to support the areas of, items that we see and we deem that is fit and necessary. Y'all want to call it socialism. Y'all want to call it being a fascist. Y'all want to call it whatever. But the people worked and paid their money into Social Security. I mean, I don't even know if y'all look at y'all check stubs and even understand your check stubs. You have a check stub. you have different things that are coming out of your checks, and Social Security is one of them. Unless your place of employment does not pay Social Security, so this is money that you have already paid into a system that was set up so that people could have a retirement, and they want to privatize it and they want to take it away. But rest assured, if they privatize Social Security, guess what's going to happen? The same thing that happened with Enron. When Enron, do you remember Enron out of Houston? When Enron collapsed, that's the same thing that's going to happen if people are not going to have money. So Enron collapsed because they privatized their retirement. They put it into the stock market. The stock market crashed and nobody had retirement. So that's the same thing that's going to happen. And the people don't understand when they say privatization of, all these different services and things like that, how it's going to affect them. Privatization means that the government no longer regulates how these people come at you. Let's take Texas, for example. When they just had this last hurricane, they were complaining about their electric bills. Guess what? Texas is no longer on the national grid. So guess what? The government cannot regulate your electricity. So guess what? You have been privatized by your Republicans that you put in office. And so when y'all were receiving those $5, $10, $15, $20, $25,000, $30,000 electric bill, that's because of privatization. And people don't understand. So you know what? I'm sitting back and I'm laying low. Well, really, I'm not laying low. I'm laying high because I'm putting things out there on Facebook. And I'm waiting for them to come back and to, show all the things that's going to take place, because it has already started happening. Nissan just today posted, or was it yesterday? One of them posted that they're about to lay off 9,000 people. Another company in Ohio is about to lay off 1,100 people. Another company in North America is about to lay off 200 people. So get ready for that recession. So y'all running around here talking about a woman can't lead and a woman can't do this and a woman can't do that. Y'all just didn't want a black woman, because we had Hillary, and y'all did the same thing to Hillary when she tried to warn y'all about, Donald Trump and his affiliation with Russia and, things like that or whatever. He's selling secrets to America. So, when your asses are caught up, and it's going to affect the poor people, because the poor people don't understand that blue collar workers do not benefit from Republican policies. It's the people who are upper middle class and higher who benefit from those Republican policies. Who do they think is going to pay for those tax breaks? Who do they think are going to up for those loopholes? They are the ones that's going to pay for those tax breaks and those loopholes. And that's what they fail to realize, and that's what they fail to understand. And then another thing is, they are so hard pressed on, trying to stop and hurt black people. What they fail to realize is they're the ones that are on, all these government programs like WIC. Don't get me wrong, we do have people who are on those government programs and things like that. But the majority of the people who are receiving those programs are Hispanic and white people. Those are the majority of the people who are receiving those programs. We are going to be okay, because we know how to turn make a dollar out of 50 cents. We know how to pull blood from a turnip. We know how to do all those things. But, it's just a slap in the face, especially for black women who have stood strong with the Democratic Party, for white women to go out and vote against all of our best interests, and they have damned us all. And now they want to run around talking about people are marching. No, we're not marching. We're not doing any of that. We're not marching with y'all. We're not praying with y'all. We're not donating to y'all. And that goes to the black men who are running around here talking about their Trump supporters. When your ass is hanging from a tree as a tree ornament, and they done strung your ass up and then lynch you, we not donating to your services. We not praying for your soul. We not doing any of that. We're not marching for your dumbasses. We're not doing any of that, because guess what? We are going to check on social media to see if your ass was a damn Trump supporter and you voted against our own best interests. Period.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I hear what you're saying and everything in that space, because there's a number of things that are going on in that. I know a lot of people, because I was watching some of the social media, and they were talking about the tariffs, and a lot of people think that the tariffs are being paid by the foreign companies, but they're actually being paid by the American companies, and several of those companies have already said that they're going to pass on the cost to the consumers. And all along those lines, there have been several that have come out and said, yeah, if he implements these tariffs, then we will pass those costs on to you. And even what you just said, Wolfspeed, which used to be called Cree, and is one of the leading chip makers in the area. It's actually raised here, right here in North Carolina. Said that they're laying off a couple of hundred folks and everything, and it is about 20% of their employees. So they're laying off 20% of their workforce, and all along those lines. And definitely, that's one of those major companies. I think it is American based, but there are other companies that are foreign based that will be making some of these sizable cuts as well. So definitely, the Silicon uh, maker Wolfspeed said it's cutting 20% of its global workforce, and I'm sure that that has to do with some of the things that are being planned by Trump, and they're going to do it through layoffs and voluntary exits ahead of a planned 1,800 job hiring spree at a new plant. But we'll see if that actually happens or doesn't happen. Because right now they're laying off folks, and like you said, it could lead to inflation. I did have a question for you because it's something I've been hearing people talk about, and they talked about it in the past and everything. But some of your sisters, as well as some of those white women that you're talking about, are saying that they're going to borrow from the South Korean 4B movement. So they are saying that they are frustrated, and therefore they're going to be boycotting relationships with men and abstaining from sex in protest of Trump's presidential victory. So they're citing concerns about reproductive rights and the rise in young male Republican voters as their reason for participating in the movement. So apparently, there's going to be a lot of men that might be upset because they might not be getting any in the near future. So I just wanted to, what is your thoughts about some of these women wielding their power and basically saying that they've had enough, so therefore they're not going to give up anything, and they'll be abstaining until some people start acting more correctly.
But my thing is, you had an opportunity to do something at the election. You voted against your own best interest. Now you want to talk about you want to withhold sex from your partner and things like that's a lie. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do anything. And like I said, black women are no longer participating in anything that these white women got going on and stuff like that or whatever. We are no longer supporting these white women, and they have to understand that you had an opportunity to shut this man down after he purposely went in and destroyed Roe versus Wade and things like that or whatever, where we have no say over our own bodies and things like that, and we have no say over our reproductive rights. But see, the bottom line is they're the ones that's going to suffer the most because they're dropping like flies anyway in these hospitals and emergency rooms because they're no longer able to get those abortions and things like that. There was just this young white girl who just died not long ago. Her mother was in there pleading with the doctors, asking them to do something or whatever, and by the time that they got the okay to do something, the girl was already dead. So y'all the ones that's going to suffer the most. You know what I'm saying? So y'all think y'all hurting us. Y'all not hurting us. Y'all the ones, because black women have, the birth rate of teen pregnancies with black women has been on the significant decline for I don't know how many years or whatever. But as far as them, as far as what I think with them talking about withholding sex from their partners and men and things like that, I'm not participating in that. If my man want to get down, we getting down, because my thing is, you had an opportunity when you went to the polls to make your stance and to take your position. You chose the structure of white supremacy because you know that you are the greater beneficiary of the white supremacy and of that structure. So because you chose that structure and you chose to go that route, we no longer support you. So I don't care. Y'all can come with your little crocodile tears and, doing whatever. Y'all talking about y'all sorry. You're not sorry, because you knew exactly what you were doing when you went into that, when you went into that voting booth and you selected Donald Trump. You knew exactly what you were doing. Now you want to pretend like, oh, you care about, what's going on with women and women reproductive rights. No, hell no. So whatever happens to your ass happens to your ass. When your husband's over there beating y'all asses the fuck up and giving you black eyes and things like that, guess what? We gonna turn our damn heads and we're not gonna say anything. We are no longer in your corner. We are no longer supporting you. So you are definitely on your own. So, I think that's a bunch of BS. I think it's a bunch of malarkey, because it's not gonna happen. Because look at how they said that they were gonna support Kamala. And then they're coming up with, oh, well, she didn't do this. She didn't call me. Did Donald Trump call you? You know what I'm saying? Did you hold the same standards for Donald Trump that you were holding for Kamala? At the end of the day, although this woman was campaigning, this woman still had a job to do because she was hired by the people as the vice president of the United States and things like that or whatever. But, they placed all these unrealistic expectations on this woman, and then they did not place no expectations on this man. But that's just the society that we live in. You can get a dumbass white man, Donald Trump, and things like that or whatever. And, oh, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it, just like he fixed the pandemic and didn't do anything with the pandemic, and we lost so many people because he was negligent. His ass should be in prison. He wasn't fighting for the American people. His ass was trying to fight to stay out of damn prison. So, like I said, whatever the hell comes y'all way and whatever y'all get is what the hell y'all get. And I can't wait to rub it in y'all faces when it starts happening on social media.
Well, speaking of that, and speaking of social media, one of the most progressive voices and somebody that a lot of people admire out of New York and everything is AOC. And AOC is trying to figure out, and she's put it out because she's active on social media as well, why there are so many split ticket voters and everything, because there were a number of people that supported her and also supported Trump and everything. And so, according to some of the responses that she got, because she wanted to know what was going on, she said, it's real simple. Trump and you care for the working class, is what somebody wrote on her page. Somebody else said, Trump is going to get us the money and lets man have a voice. You're brilliant and have amazing passion. And somebody else said, I feel like Trump and you are both real and everything. And somebody said that I know people that did this and it was because of Gaza. And then they said you are focused on, so another person said you're focused on the real issues people care about, similar to Trump populism in some ways. And then somebody else said because of Gaza. And then somebody else says I voted Trump and the Gens because he reached out to Muslims and everything. So like I said, she's trying to figure it out and other people are trying to figure it out. But I guess some of the people are trying to give their reasons why they were able to support, because even here in North Carolina, nobody was back, not a lot of people were back in Mark Robinson, and he got slaughtered basically by Josh Stein, the now Jewish governor-elect and everything. And they also elected Mo Green and some others that were more on the progressive side. So there were a number of places, not just here, but in other parts of the world that were doing some serious split ticketing that folks are still trying to figure out.
I mean, honestly, like I said, when it all boils down to it, it all boils down to race. And even with a lot of Hispanics that I've seen, on they posted articles or whatever talking about a woman places in the kitchen. Well, let's see how that backwards ass thinking is going to work out for you, because they done already said that they're about to do these mass deportations. So let's see how it work out for you and your family and friends. They want to pretend like they're white and this, that, and the other, and they want to be likened to white people. White people don't get deported, boo-boo. Y'all get deported. Black people not getting deported unless they come from another country or whatever, but we don't get deported either. Y'all the ones that's gonna get deported. So let's see how that backwards ass thinking that y'all did, that y'all voted against your own kind. Let's see how that works out for you, because it was just a sheer about race and things like that. Because like I said, some of the Hispanics, they don't like to be likened to like Mexicans and things like that or whatever. They want to say because their skin is light that they're white and things, so that they think that by them siding with the white people that they're gonna be in a better position, financially, economically, and things like that or whatever. But let's see how it works out for you. He showed you what his character was when he was over in Puerto Rico, when he would not hand the materials to the people. He threw them at the people. When he left y'all in the dark for damn near 30 to 60 days, he showed y'all what type of person he was. You know what I'm saying? And he lied in y'all faces and played with y'all, talking about he was not affiliated with the people at the Heritage Foundation. But guess what? Guess what the Heritage Foundation said the other day, Mark? The Heritage Foundation and the people that are affiliated with the Heritage Foundation, that they couldn't wait to get on social media to brag and boast about implementing the very Project 2025 that Trump said that he was no longer affiliated with. You know what I'm saying? So, my thing is, y'all just straight up lied, talking about it was this and it was that. And basically what it boils down to is race and that systematic structure of white supremacy. That's all what it boils down to, because they'll never admit that it's about race and things like that. Because Joy Reid even said it on her show. I posted about it on Facebook earlier, about how Black women are fed up, with white women and things like that, voting against, our own best interests. But we have to understand, as Black women, white women lie. But then behind those closed door structures and things like that, they're going to vote inside with the white people, because they are the beneficiaries of it. Let's kick back and ask the Asians. Y'all sided with the white people and got affirmative action, disbanded and dismantled and things like that. How did that work out for y'all? Because y'all numbers dropped. Black people numbers didn't drop. Our numbers are still maintaining and still holding steady. But y'all numbers the one that dropped into Ivy League schools because y'all feel like, Black people are taking your spots. Black people wasn't taking your spots. Black people are equally as intelligent as you are, and we earned those spots. But y'all numbers the one that plummeted and things like that. So how was that working out for you? They even marked, there was even a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court where Black women were supporting Black women with opening businesses and giving loans, not loans, but grants and things like that. So the Asians sided with the white people so that they could get the Black women, the Black owned business shut down because they called it discriminatory. So y'all want to play these games about, y'all doing this because of that. No, it's strictly about race, boo. It's always been about race. And white women, y'all just got to understand, y'all have always had a problem with Black women because they had laws, Mark, on the books in Louisiana about Black women not being able to wear their hair down and they have to look a certain way because the white men were more attracted to the Black women than they were the white women. And the white women got mad and they got jealous. So they had to put laws in place so that, Black women could not look a certain way and things like that. So they can kiss my yellow ass with the mess and the bullshit about anything else because it was nothing but race. And that's all it was about, race. And y'all protecting the structure and the entity of white supremacy.
Yeah, but no, even already on this network, we've got some folks that are trying to say that the race card is being played too much, and if we keep playing the race card, that the Democrats will keep losing and everything. Because I know there are a couple of my fellow panelists that
the Democrats didn't say anything about race. Sorry for cutting you off. The Democrats didn't say anything about race. Black women are saying things about race. You know what I'm saying? Trevor Noah, I posted this on my social media. He said, if you ever want to understand the fabric and the fabric of a country, such as America and all these other places, ask a Black woman. He said, you ask a Black woman because Black women know that when other people vote against, what we stand for, that we catch the brunt end of all of it. And that's what people don't see. Because you don't experience something does not mean that it's not happening. It does not mean that it does not exist. So it's always about race. It's always about the Black and white and things like that or whatever. I don't care what they say. They can say, this, and the other. But, the people who, and the sad part about it is, Mark, a lot of people to liken themselves to the Republican Party because they feel like, the Republican Party is this. And the Republicans don't even like poor people. That's what they don't understand. They don't even like poor people. They don't even like blue collar workers. But guess what they want? They want your money and your votes and your support. But y'all so damn dumb that y'all thinking y'all hurting Black people because most Black people that I know are, workers and, things like that. Most of them, in my circle are high middle class and, have, like degrees, not saying that degrees are everything, own their own businesses and, things like that or whatever. They're that will be affected greatly by the Republicans. And that's what they fail to realize. But see, like what's his name said, you can train the poorest white man that he's better than a Black man and you got him for life. You know what I'm saying? So, they're thinking that they're harming us, but in reality, boo, you harming yourself because we gonna be all right. We gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? And, as I was saying, you have some of these Black men out there running around talking about Trump. Do you not understand what law and order means when he said that he's gonna, implement law and order and the police will have immunity. They would not be held accountable. So when they go out there and shoot your Black ass, you can't sue the police department. You can't hold them accountable. That's what the hell it means. But y'all running around here talking about Trump this, Trump that, the Republicans this, the Republican that, and don't even know that you just handed your fate to these people. You know what I'm saying? These people don't give a damn about you. If they could erase and eradicate Black people today, guess what would happen? They will erase and eradicate Black people. You know what I'm saying? And it was something that I posted on Facebook today about, how when Black people try to stand together and when we try to come to one as a race, everybody has to be included. But nobody else is. When white people, when we're all down in Charlottesville and things like that or whatever, when he called them fine citizens and attacking people and things like that, They didn't have to come together as a race. So why is the expectation is that black people, when we stand together, that we have to come together and we have to include all the other races? I'm not including nobody. I mean, I'm gonna stand with black people, and that's it. You know, my internet trolls have been calling me racist and things like that. You can call me whatever you want, but black people can't be racist by definition, baby, because we don't run systematic structures of power and things like that. I can be a bigot, but I can never be a racist. But at the end of the day, I don't like nobody. And I'll tell people that in their face. I don't like nobody, you know, but I really don't like your ass when you give me a reason not to like you, because I just don't deal with people anyway. But it's just the, you know, it's just the sheer fact of the matter is that, you know, race played a significant part in her not winning the election. They can say what the hell they want to say, but everything was about race. You did not want this black woman to be the leader of the free world. Although she could have brought, you know, many different programs and gave many different things, you know, she wanted to give people $50,000 to purchase their first home. So, but y'all chose eating dogs and cats over getting your first home. But you know, and it goes to show about who they are as a people based on who they voted for. So you can say what you want to say about whatever, but it had nothing to do with nothing but race. Period.
Yeah, yeah, there was a lot of racism in there, but some of the people are trying to make it out as if it wasn't the racism and trying to say that there were other
Of
factors
course
and there
they
might
are.
have been other factors, but you got people that are trying to say that. But there is the whole notion of the great replacement theory, which is that uh, definitely European America is concerned that they are about to lose control and that at some point, I think it's 2050, they will not be the majority, so they don't know what to do about control if they don't have the majority of the population. So that's something that I'm sure some of the people are thinking about. I was going to get to something that they say will
Hold
be.
on one second before you go there. But remember, we talked about this on the show some time ago or whatever about population and population control, because it's all about the white women. White women are aborting babies and they're not having babies like they used to. And the white race is on the decline. And so they're trying to, you know, get these women to have these babies and things like that. And not only are they not having, you know, like pure white babies, they're also, you know, having mixed babies. So, you know, they don't want the mixed race babies, you know, because typically the mixed race babies tend to, you know, side with the black side of them, not the white side. So it's all about that population control and, you know, the decline of the white population, because the white population has been on the decline for, you know, like years and years and years and years and things like that or whatever. So they're trying to, you know, stop that what is it called, eugenics and, you know, like genocide and things like that. They're trying to stop that so the white race could try to compete with, you know, the minorities and things. But in a little while the Hispanics are gonna, you know, take over you know, with their race and their population of people anyway. So it's going to be a brown nation in a few years anyway. But, you know, like I said, you know, let's see how it works out for the Hispanics after, you know, your so-called fellow Hispanics voted against y'all on best interests and y'all separated from your children and y'all going back across the border, going back across the Rio Grande and things like that. Because they done already said that the same person that was over, you know, putting the kids in cages and things, Trump has already tapped him again to, you know, be the person over, you know, immigration and all that stuff. And they're already, you know, putting in place the mass deportation. Arizona just the other day just, you know, adopted a law about, you know, illegal aliens and immigrants and things like that or whatever. So let's see how that's gonna work out for y'all. Honestly, let's see. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
There's already people that are frustrated about that and trying to figure out what's going on because things are not going the way that they thought they would go, even though he plainly said that. I was going to get to something that he said that he was going to bring into implementation, and it comes back to one of your fields and all along those lines, because there are a number of people, including some on our own kind of side, the African American side, that are fans of school choice, and he's already said that he is looking at dismantling the Department of Education as well as what he said he was going to do the first time, which is a push for school choice. So I just wondering, as a educator, what are your thoughts around this notion of school choice, school vouchers, and dismantling of the Department of Education? Three things that Trump has said that he is seriously considering once he figures out who he is appointing for the Department of Education.
First of all, he's not going to be able to dismantle the Department of Education because he's going to have too many people that are going to protest that. Second of all, as far as school choice is concerned, they tried it in the last thing with school choice, but people got to understand, with school choice, and like I was explaining to a colleague or whatever, each child is alerted. Allocated a certain amount of dollars. So let's just say, I'm just going to hypothetically throw a number out there. We're going to say $15,000 per child. So now with your child going into a school choice program, let's just say they go to a charter school. Okay. So that money travels with your child to the charter school, right? Now in late October, early November, we could say early December or whatever, is when the money is released from the Department of Ed and from the state and things like that or whatever. Once they get the money, all those kids are going to be kicked out, especially if they have a behavior problem, if they're special ed and things like that. They're going to be kicked out of those private schools. They're going to be kicked out of those charter schools and put right back into public education. So y'all got to understand, although you may have a choice of where you want your child to go in terms of school and things like that or whatever, that choice may not be the better choice for your child. Because like I said, once that school gets that money and they receive that funding from the Department of Ed or, the state and things like that, and your child is a problem child who has challenging behaviors, guess what's going to happen to that child, Mark? Guess what's going to happen? They're going to kick them out and they're going to send them right back to public education. That's what's going to happen. And guess what's not going to follow that child? The money that was given to the entity. You know what I'm saying? So, parents, y'all got to understand, just because a charter school is there does not mean a charter is better. Charter schools can hire uncertified teachers. They can hire uncertified, people to work in those places. They can do all that stuff. Whereas in public ed, we're held by federal law that we have to be certified. Actually, we have to be highly qualified in order to work with your child and to work with your children and, things like that, whatever. But, at the end of the day, y'all want that school choice, go right ahead and get the school choice, because all you're doing is just making them rich and your child is not receiving the benefit. So, like I said, I'm going to sit back and I'm waiting on social media so I can troll the people on social media about their pick and their choice. Because, at the end of the day, when you went in that ballot box, you had a choice to vote for the man that y'all voted for and elected, or you could have voted for that woman who was trying to actually bring about change. So, like I said, when their children are suffering and things like that, don't contact the educator, because there's nothing that we can do, because you are the parent and y'all had the choice. Y'all had the upper hand. Y'all could have voted against him, but you didn't. You know what I'm saying? So now you have to deal with the consequences. So like I said, as far as school choice is concerned, it is not necessarily a good thing when it comes to minority children, because, a lot of those kids are kicked out of those charter schools. They're kicked out of those private schools once they receive that funding. So the only thing that's going to matter is, your child is going to be hurting in the end, because they're going to have to uproot and switch schools. I've seen it all too many times in DC when I was in DC public school.
Well, it
All I
looks
can
like
say, Mark, is it is what it is.
it is what it is. And speaking of that, it looks like he's named another position. So he's tapped former Representative Lee Zeldin to lead the Environmental Protection Agency. So I'm thinking that he probably doesn't that much of an environmentally friendly person, but that's who he's going to be having run the environmentally protection agency. So he's claiming he's going to ensure fair and swift deregulatory decisions that will be enacted in a way to unleash the power of American business, which means that it might even hurt the environment. But we'll see what happens and everything, because he's also talking about restoring U.S. energy dominance, revitalizing our auto industry, and make the U.S. a global leader in AI while still protecting access to clean water and air. We'll see if that's just a hyperbole, or he's actually going to do some of this stuff with clean water and air and everything like that. But I did have a question, getting out of politics for a minute and all in that space, because I did hear that there was a major news that just came out recently. It was some good news and everything, because I know that you are a fan of basketball and all along those lines and everything like that. And definitely, I think you're a fan. I know that I've been a fan of some of her movies and everything. But apparently, seeing that there is a market for it and everything, Whoopi Goldberg has said that she's going to have a network. That's right, a network that will be dedicated toward women's sports. So definitely that is something that she just put out, that she's ready to launch a women's sports network and everything. And I think she put that out a couple of days ago and everything. But what is your take about women, Whoopi Goldberg, and this women's sports network that apparently she will be running and trying to get off of the ground? So it's the launch of a global sports platform for women. And she said, if a woman is playing it, we're going to be showing it. So she's definitely going to get out there and show this. So it is a sports platform for women, and she announced it during a taping of the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. So it's the All Women Sports Network, which has already broken ground in Asia, the Middle East, and India with the help of partners Common Spirit and Jungo TV. So if you're a woman, it's a home for live women's sports from around the world. Everything from soccer, basketball, tennis, cricket, curling, you name it. If a woman is playing it, we're showing it, is what Goldberg said. So what's your take on this idea of this sports network for women athletes?
I mean, I think that's amazing. I mean, because we have a lot of Black women who are athletes and things like that or whatever. So hopefully it will generate some fanfare, and we can get these athletes paid the money that they are deserve. Although the women represent and do what they need to do. On and off the court and things like that, because they were the only ones who stood with Colin Kaepernick and things like that or whatever, when he knelt down and in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, like that or whatever. So I think it'll be amazing. You won't have to deal with the bureaucracy of all of these other TV stations and things like that or whatever that are controlled by you know the billionaires and things like that, who want to silence the media and stuff. I mean, this is like a playbook right out of Hitler. Hitler, where people are being silenced for speaking out and things like that, because he said that he's going to have a vendetta against people who spoke against him, because they spoke against him. They're not patriot. They're not patriotic. Apparently you don't know what patriotism is and things like that or whatever. We live in a country where we have the freedom and the right to say our likes and dislikes and things like that or whatever. But honestly, I don't think he's going to full term. I think his ass going to have a damn heart attack in office, and I'm waiting on the day so I can damn dance and pray and sing and where they bury his ass, so I can go spit on his damn grave and things like that or whatever. So because I honestly don't think he's going to make it.
Well, speaking of that and everything, there is already people that are trying to ask, speaking of media and people with media control, how much influence do you feel? Because some people even say that he might have manipulated some things, including Starlink and Twitter. How much kind of influence do you think Elon Musk had, and how much influence did he need to have, and how much are you fearful of the control he will have in a Trump White House? Because apparently, even on the call to Ukraine and the Ukrainian leadership, he was on that call as well. So I just wanted your take as to how much control this billionaire has on the current economy and on the current administration. Well, not the current, but the incoming administration.
Well, you can see that he has control. When the judge sided with him, in Pennsylvania, talking about he was going to give $1 million away or whatever. You can see, because my thing is, all of these people running around, these judges and things, and all of them should have been, removed from the bench, that slowed the progress of Trump being prosecuted and things like that or whatever. So he's going to have a major role in the Trump administration. I'm not, like I said, I'm not afraid of anything or whatever, but I think the people that are in the CIA and the FBI, they're going to do what they did the last time. They're only going to give him information on an as needed basis or whatever, and they're going to give him bits and pieces of the information, because they already know that he can't be trusted with nothing, because he blabs his mouth and he runs his mouth, and they already know that he's a puppet of Russia and things like that or whatever. So my thing is, all these people running around here talking about Putin this, Putin that. Do you not understand what type of society those people live in Russia and things like that Donald Trump wants to bring over here, and he wants wants his family to be, the main family in charge forever and ever, and that we don't have a democracy and things like that. And, people are like, how can we let this happen? Hell, they had a choice. They made their choice. But, when the poor people understand that, they're the ones that are going to be the worker bees and the worker ants, and they're the ones that's going to be, affected by all of this, then and only then they'll see the mistake and the gravity of their vote that they have caused. But I think he's going to play a major role in Donald Trump's administration and things like that. But like I said, I'm just waiting on the day for them to post that he didn't had a damn heart attack. That's what I'm waiting on, so he can get over and be buried 6 feet under. They need to burn his ass so he'll know what it feels like to burn in hell and things like that or whatever. So yeah.
Well, what are you thinking about the possibility of a President Vance? Because if he is gone, then that's who we're stuck with, and all along those lines. So, what is your take on that and everything? Because
Well,
if he is not,
honestly, I don't think he's gonna be a success either, because he has an Indian wife. So they, why honestly, let me pose this question to you. If it wasn't about race, why the hell did they hold his wife hostage? Basically, kept her ass off the campaign trail so that the white people wouldn't see what she looked like. If it wasn't about race. If it wasn't about race, why did Nikki Haley change her name from Namarat to Nikki Haley? If it wasn't about race, if these white people are not racist, if it's not about race, you know what I'm saying? So they can sit back and say it's not about this and it's not about that, but it's clearly about that. You know what I'm saying? So I think he'll probably have some issues and things like that based off of the fact that he has an Indian son named Vivek and he has an
Mhm.
Indian wife. You know what I'm saying? So they're not going to take too kindly to that, because she had already started receiving threats anyway when they first announced that he was going to be his running mate.
Yep, you definitely got that going on, and all along those lines and everything. So, no doubt about that. So, that'll be interesting to see what goes on in that space. By the way, any thoughts around Veterans Day? Today is Veterans Day, and that's something that a lot of people have been talking about. And I did pull up some of the unsung heroes from our own community and all along those lines. But I was wondering any thoughts that you had on that.
Yeah, today is Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day out to all the veterans out there and things like that. They don't get enough recognition. It's just unjust and undue, and we need to, pay homage to our veterans and make sure that we tell a veteran thank you. That thank you for their service and their sheer dedication to what's supposed to be one of the greatest countries in the world and things like that or whatever.
Yeah, and along
Because
those
my
lines,
papa
there.
was a
Yeah,
veteran.
just got my dad was a veteran and everything. Was in the military, still living and everything. But just to name some of those that people are talking about, if you go to like some of the websites, including the Roots, include Sergeant William Henry Johnson, who was from Winston Salem, enlisted in the Army in 1917 as a teenager and moved to New York. And that's according to the U.S. Army website. He was assigned for Company C, the all-black 15th New York Infantry Regiment that soon became the 369th Infantry Regiment. And while on tour in Western France to fight against Germany, 12 German soldiers ambushed Johnson and his unit. He took the initiative to protect his team and advanced toward the soldiers with nothing but a knife in hand. He brought enough time for the injured soldiers to escape being abducted by the Germans. He died after succumbing to his 21 combat injuries, and a Louisiana Army base is named Fort Johnson in his honor. And I know you've got some ties to Louisiana and all along those lines. So that is one of the soldiers that is oftentimes not recognized as much as we probably should recognize them and everything along those lines. There are a number of other ones I could get to as well, and all in that space. And one of those is Colonel Paris Davis, and said the Vietnam veteran received a Medal of Honor in February of 2023, 60 years after his time in the service as one of the first Black officers to lead a special forces team in Vietnam. He proved his courage
Mhm.
June 18th, 1965, when a raid on a North Vietnamese army camp resulted in a counterattack, leaving every American soldier critically injured. Davis, with one hand damaged by an enemy grenade, and in order to leave his team, went back to rescue each one of them. Davis's success led to a recommendation for a Medal of Honor, but his file disappeared, and the military review found no record of him, according to CBS. And this oddity caused a group of volunteers to look through the archives and find and piece archives a piece of paper get the piece of the paperwork together and everything. So they looked like they found the correct records and were able to give him the honor that he needed, and all along those lines. And last but not least, there are several of them. But Charles Young, the first black person to be a colonel in the U.S. Army, was promoted posthumously to brigadier general nearly a century after his death. The honor made him the first black person to be promoted to that rank. His career in the Army was restricted because of the overt racism, did not allow him to be promoted. However, he was still appointed to be the first black national park superintendent in 1903 and won praise from then President Theodore Roosevelt for becoming the first military attaché to both Haiti and the Dominican Republic on the island of Hispaniola. So definitely that's three veterans that need to get some recognition. I just gave them a little bit of a shout out. I'm sure I could give some others as well, but that's just three quick shout outs on this Veterans Day and all along those lines.
Beautiful thing. Beautiful shout out. Beautiful shout out.
Oh yeah, got to give those shout outs and everything. And I think the networks, the other people must be listening to you because the Root had a big article, or actually the Guardian, on just what you talked about at the beginning. So it says black women on what Harris Law says about the U.S. Voters failed to show up for her. And in the hours after Joe Biden's decision to end his reelection and endorse Kamala Harris, 40,000 black women leaders in politics, business, and entertainment were on that Zoom call. And then people are talking about that call and everything, and how uh, folks did not give her the due that she needed, because Harris's 107-day campaign to become president began in the year of recognizing the anniversaries of pivotal advancements for African Americans during the Jim Crow era and the Civil Rights Movement. 70 years after Thurgood Marshall, Constance Baker Motley, and the NAACP dismantled school segregation. 60 years after Fannie Lou Hamer spoke at the 1964 Democratic National Convention, and 52 years since Shirley Chisholm became the first woman and the first black to run for president. So some folks were saying it gave so much hope. Guess they given what Christian F. Nunzi, president of the National Organization for Women and part of Generation X, who never thought she'd see a black president, let alone a black woman president. It was like the opportunity and manifestation of our ancestors' wildest dreams. That's what I thought of myself. Like if she was elected, that's what our ancestors have dreamt about, and women and black women have dreamt about our entire life. And definitely was that hope that fueled a wide range of support from the Democrats and from other folks as well. And now folks are, I guess, trying to figure out what's going on in that space, including something you just talked about, because Siobhan Arlene Bradley, president and CEO of the National Council of Negro Women, said Harris' campaign of inclusion and strong support from the Democrats' most loyal black voting women could not withstand the wall of white nationalism and racism and classism and sexism and misogyny. So maybe they've been listening to you and everything. So it said that it could not withstand the wall of an electorate that used class, race, and gender to block the opportunity for an all-inclusive society that our country is so-called built on. She said the idea of womanhood in leadership still becomes unfathomable for many. And a fellow New Orleans resident, because I know you're a Louisiana resident, not a New Orleans resident, Lori Akanela Massaquoi is a mother of 2-year-old daughter, and she said that Harris being the Democratic nominee for president meant a more equal, progressive future for all Americans, not just for black people, but for everybody. But when Akanela Massaquoi, 36, woke up on November and saw that Trump had won the election, she was disgusted, disappointed, just annoyed, really annoyed. Nowhere else can other people do the things he does or say the things he does or have the record he has and become president of the United States. I just don't know how he even got this far, she said. So, like I said, a lot of people are agreeing with you as to how folks saw that he was hateful and saw that he had a lot of flaws in his character, but still managed to vote for him.
I mean, like I said, it was all about race and things like that or whatever. People can say what they want. It wasn't about race, and we need to let the thing go. But how can we let race go when it's pushed in our face every day? And this is something that we have to deal with, especially as Black women. And in leaderships, in positions of leadership, in structures of leadership and power and things like that or whatever, it's about that humbling of Black women. When he pronounced her name wrong purposely, it was about humbling her. With Sarah Huckabee Sanders, with her man looking ass, got on there talking about she's besides herself. She needs to humble herself. So, that's just another word, another stance, another phrase for, you know, white people saying that black women think, well, she thought that she was uppity. So, you know, when they start saying things like that, they're saying that you're an uppity nigga, you're an uppity negro, and things like that, and you need to understand your place. So this election and this voting against her was showing her that she needs to stay in her place, and showing all black women that, hey, you know, no matter what, you need to stay in your place and things like that or whatever. So, you know, like I said, they can say it's about, you know, other stuff. She was out of touch. She was not out of touch. Her campaign touched upon, you know, all these different things. She had to be a perfect candidate whereas he didn't have to be a perfect candidate. She had to come out the womb perfect, you know, claiming that she didn't know that she was a black woman. You know, I get it all the time. I get people asking me, what race am I? I tell them I'm a fucking nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm a black woman. At the end of the day, I come from 2 black parents. You know, I may have some other stuff in me, but at the end of the day, I'm black. And that's what I claim, blackness. And they like to argue with you that, you know, oh, well, you know, you have freckles, you know, you're this, you're that, you know, you look a certain way. I'm black at the end of the day. So it's, you know, it's just, you know, people got to do some soul searching, like I said, and it's about, you know, us as black women being put in our place and being humbled by those that think that we're acting uppity and we have gotten besides ourselves, and we are in a different space and we're in a different, you know, lane and things like that. It's about the humbling of black women, and they wanted to let her know, and they showed her, and they sent a strong message that we're humbling you because you're uppity Negro and you need to be humbled. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like I said, they can say it's about anything else other than race, but we already know that it was always about race.
Now, there's this other unusual idea that's being floated around. I don't know that Kamala would go for it, and we can wrap on this note. But there are some people out there that are saying that so that I guess so she can administer it in a better way, the Passover and everything, that Biden should step down and let her be the president for the last 2 months of the terms as a symbolic gesture. So that's something that even Kamala's Harris's former communication director is suggesting and everything. So
I think he
what
should. I think he should shake shit up. You know what I'm saying? Step down and let her be the president. You know, let her be the president.
Yeah, because they're saying that if he
Yeah.
resigned the presidency in the next 30 days, making Kamala Harris the president of the United States, it would absolve her from having to oversee the January 6th transition of her own defeat. And there are some people that are saying those comments are drawing stark criticism and definitely found the suggestion offensive to women. A U.S. history book that says America did briefly have one female president. It was a symbolic gesture, would be very funny and on brand, one user wrote on X. So definitely there's some people that are pushing back on this idea.
No, I think he should. I think he should step down and let her become president for the last 2 months and things like that. You know, like people said, don't become a lame duck president. You know, shake shit up. You know, let them know that, you know, although that, you know, they voted whatever way, but to be honest with you, I honestly think they rigged the election or whatever, because, you know, those voting machines can be rigged. People, if you don't understand coding and you don't understand programs, you don't get that, you know, it can be rigged, although you're putting in something on top, but what's underneath the layers can be, you know, changed in the background. Just like, you know, when you, for example, when you're working on your computer or you're working on your iPad, you see numbers and letters and alphabets and things like that, but in the backside of it, it's called binary code. So those numbers and letters are going into, you know, code that changes from ones and zeros to, you know, different combinations of ones and zeros. So those voting machines could have been programmed when they selected Kamala's name to show Donald Trump's name on the back end side. So, you know, I honestly think that, you know, they played around and they rigged those voting machines and things like that or whatever. I honestly, in my heart of hearts, think that they tamper with those voting machines. I honestly believe that, you know, but like I said, you know, y'all had an opportunity to make a change. You chose not to make that change. And now, you know, you have damned us all, and we all have to live with this foolishness for the next 4 years and things like that or whatever. So at this point, whatever happens to your dumb ass happens to your dumb ass.
And on that note, it's
Period.
time to wrap up on that note, it's time to wrap up another edition. So we get ready to get on out of here, and we'll wrap up and be back with more conversation about which direction the country is going in and what's going on. As we've got the lovely Dr. Anthony that'll be talking about it. She might even give some promotion about her latest book, as Beauty and the Brains, and some of her other books have done quite well and all along those lines. But we'll see what new work she's got in the works and all along those lines. But we'll continue these dialogues on next Monday on the 18th. But right now, it's time to get on out of here, and we'll see the dancing video and everything else that it brings us in and also gets us on out of here, unless there's some last words that you want to share with the audience.
No, the clock on the wall says that's all. Make sure you guys click like and share. We're number one overseas and things like that, or whatever, top 5. So make sure you guys click like and share so we can, get that top spot over here in the US. And we will see you guys on next Monday. Deuces, my loves. Peace.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.